There it is, the car shaking. Apparently there's nothing wrong with the car, but the car is shaking. We're on a regular road, and had the tires balanced and everything, and they said the tires were not balanced when the car started. The reason why the car was acting like this is because the tires weren't balanced. They balanced the tires, and here it is, still acting like that. So I'm pretty convinced this is a drive shaft issue. Either it's out of balance or there's something wrong with the U-joints, but who knows? Nobody's saying anything. The only people that even would mention the drive shaft was the actual drive shaft shop, and of course everybody's going to assume the drive shaft shop would just say that just to get some business, but who knows? Here it is, shaking on a normal road, fairly normal conditions. I don't see anything that's going to cause it to shake on the road, but here it is shaking. And of course, Ford was just saying, "Oh, it's the tires," and what were they going to do? They're not going to. Ford won't check the tires on this car because then they're not going to do anything on the tires on this car because it's not the fucking because they're low profile tires. Ford doesn't do anything with low profile tires. I mean, they can check the tires, but they're not going to do it. They're going to be able to service the tires because they're low profiles. Ford doesn't even do any work on low profile tires. But yeah, see, shaking, car shakes. So I'm not even sure why anybody would sit there and suggest that fixing the tires Yep, and I feel it in the steering wheel. And if I stop talking for a second, you should build, it's gonna start doing that shake. Of course, it could be a bad tire too. I mean, a tire, when you're driving along and the car is driving fine, then suddenly that starts doing a shaking thing. That could be a bad tire too. But of course, nobody checks anything when you tell them you feel like there's a problem with the tires. The first thing they do is just not look at anything. I don't know why people. You can specify a region where you think that the noise is coming from, and they still won't inspect anything. And I don't get that. Like, why does this is why I don't even really like taking my car to mechanics. Doesn't matter what mechanic you take it to. A Ford, Ford dealership for Ford vehicles, anybody. I mean, you tell them, okay, the car feels like this, and I feel like it's coming from this area. Instead of going, okay, well, let's look at the area, they'll just say, well, it's probably just your tires, and they'll just walk off like it's no big deal. Like, yeah, like every time you look at it, because every time there's a problem with the car bouncing or shaking, it's bad tires. Well, are you going to inspect the tire to see if it's damaged, or if it's out of round, or if it's defective? No. They're just going to switch the tires and just walk off. You don't need any help. Obviously, you're just exaggerating stuff because you want someone to look at your car because you're paranoid. Well, guess what? I'm going to be paranoid by a car that's barely 4 years old and it shakes, okay? A car 4 years old shouldn't shake. This car only has 54,000 miles in it, okay? These are newer tires, less than 2,000 miles. I've had everything serviced, as far as I know correctly. Oil changes, transmission fluid, change, radiator, not flush, but radiator, coolant change, rear end, axle, fluid change. And unless they did their work wrong on the rear end, maybe, but I don't think it's coming from the rear end. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell by so it's doing a little bit of a shaking. It's not like shaking the whole vehicle. It's like, unless the transmission's bad for some reason, but I mean, I don't know too much about the automatics in the newer Fords going out or having problems, but anything's possible. I mean, it's not like I mean, it's inevitable that something could be wrong. I mean, okay, well, I gotta slow down a little bit and then speed up because I gotta pass someone because they're not doing the speed limit. So here it is, doing about 83, 84, maybe 85. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's well, mostly wind noise here. So just drop down to about 70 here, the speed limit. And it's discouraging because if Ford looks at it and doesn't find anything wrong, they're going to charge me to look at it, even though what I don't understand is it's something that could be covered under warranty because it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not something that's not. It's part of the drivetrain if it's not. I mean, at the worst, I mean, at the best case scenario, it could be just a bad tire. I mean, then you fix that by replacing the tire. You know, a defective tire can happen at any moment. I mean, you can have a brand new tire that's defective. But my concern is, it doesn't really seem like something simple. It doesn't, because I've already tried simple things. But a defective tire, you can't balance a defective tire, so it doesn't matter. So at this point, you're just looking at what you could do to, you know, like, and the thing is, these drive shafts are kind of, not, I wouldn't say a pain in the ass to get to, but they're seated pretty high up there underneath the car. It's, you know, but it's above exhaust and all that stuff, so it's like you're already having to dig out the exhaust. So they claim at $125 an hour with the balance and everything, the labor and all that stuff, would be about almost $400 to just balance the drive shaft. And what if balancing the drive shaft doesn't even work? Well,